Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the Ogden City Council meeting for August 21st, 2012. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present, and we'll have Vice Chair Blair lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. First on our agenda, and we welcome all the visitors who are here with us today, is a recognition, and we'll have Councilmember Van Hooser read this proclamation or joint resolution for the Washington Heights Church.
It's my great pleasure to be able to read this resolution. It's a joint resolution of the mayor and the Ogden City Council. Resolution 2012-4, honoring the Washington Heights Church for completing numerous service projects throughout Ogden City. Whereas the Washington Heights Church has a rich history of service as it annually participates in mission projects throughout the world. Many of these projects have been geared toward making improvements in our community, and whereas in 2009, the church painted 2,100 fire hydrants in Ogden, and in 2010, they spent a week renovating 24 homes in the downtown area. These efforts were substantial and helped to address the needs of many in our community. And whereas the Serve Ogden 2012 initiative involved more than 500 volunteers who contributed nearly 5,000 hours of service. Volunteer efforts were focused primarily on the Ogden Pioneer Stadium and the Lauren Farr Park. And whereas a number of extensive repair projects were completed in preparation for Ogden's Pioneer Days Rodeo. Restrooms, roofs, corrals, bridges, and handicap seating areas were painted at the stadium. Volunteers helped to replace and stain wood fencing. The group also cleared and paved a 1.2-mile section of the Bluff Trail and made other area improvements. And whereas the church paid for and contributed all of the materials used to complete these projects. Many hours of time also went into planning and coordinating with the city to organize this effort. Volunteers sacrificed their time, and some even took time off from work to be part of this effort. And whereas these projects were designed to give back to the community. Residents, volunteers, citizens, and those who attended this year's rodeo events reaped the benefits of this service. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell proudly recognize the Washington Heights Church for its dedicated service to improve the Ogden Pioneer Stadium and surrounding areas. We appreciate the countless hours of work and generous contributions that have been provided a significant benefit to the Ogden City residents. I would like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2012-4.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Councilmember Van Hooser and a second from Councilmember Wicks to adopt Joint Resolution 2012-4. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This passes. And Pastor Gruber and Pastor Pitts, are they both here tonight? We'll have you both come up, and we'd like to get a picture with you too, if that's okay.
Come on over.
I apologize.
We can go up there.
You don't want to.
There, yeah. It's so tricky to get everyone. And then Bart, if you could. Perfect. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take one more too. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I watched you guys work.
Thank
so
you.
I didn't stop to
Thank
talk
you.
to them, so-
Can I just say it's a privilege to work with
Why don't, you can come right up here.
This is the third time we've had the opportunity to work with Ogden City, and it is quite a privilege to be able to work with them. It's not just a service project, it's actually a relationship that we've been able to build with our community, and specifically with the people who work for you. Jeremy Smith and Perry, they just are fine people who just do anything and work beside us, and I just cannot thank the city enough for allowing us to be able to serve you guys, so thank you so much.
Pierre, can you have them introduce the people that are with them?
What's that?
You want to
Yeah, so we have the people with us.
Yes, please.
We have a couple team leaders, and so if you guys, Sterling and Daniel, and then there were a couple, the blue shirts represent the team leaders, and then the red shirts are kind of the participants so people can identify themselves on the site with 500 people. We have Tammy, Hannah, Pablo, he is our Spanish pastor at our local church where they served all 500 people carne asada and kind of fed Ernie and the people down at the stadium as well. So it was a really good time. And then Dave G right here, and Shelby, my wife, and my mom. And
Perfect.
so it's, like I said, it's just a great opportunity to be a part of the community.
And if I can just echo Pastor Jimmy's words, my name is Roy, and I get to be the lead pastor of the Heights community. And thank you for this recognition. We really feel as though we're the fortunate ones. And we feel as though God has blessed us with no strings attached. And so for us to be able to serve in the way that we have is a way to show that to our community in a very real way. We love Ogden and love serving, and we look forward to doing it in the future. So thank you very much.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. First of the minutes of the work session of March 27, 2012, the study session of April 24, 2012, and the joint study session of June 5, 2012. Councilmember Gochner.
Thank you. I have reviewed those and found them to be accurate.
And the minutes of the work session of May 17, 2012. Councilmember Heyer.
Yes, Chair, I have reviewed those also and found them to be accurate.
And the minutes of the closed session of April 10th, 2012, and the regular meeting of April 24th, 2012. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, Chair, they're correct.
And the minutes of the work session of March 6, 2012. Councilmember Van Huzer.
Chair Garner, I've reviewed these minutes and they're correct.
And the minutes of the work session of March 13th, 2012, and the study session of May 15th, 2012. Councilmember Wicks.
Thank you, Chair Garner. I have reviewed those and found them to be correct and would make a motion that we approve the minutes from items A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Councilmember Wicks and a second from Councilmember Van Huzer to adopt these minutes as approved. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. These minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is common consent. This is a utility rate ordinance amendment, the West Ogden annexation, and the Giles subdivision annexation.
Chair Garner, I will go ahead and make a motion that we accept the items listed under common consent.
I second it.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Blair and a second from Councilmember Stevens to adopt these items for common consent. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Van Huzer.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair.
Aye.
Chair Garner.
Aye. These pass. Thank you. Next on the agenda is old business, and this is the 21st Street Corridor Plan. And Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the council, back in July, we had addressed you regarding the 21st Street Corridor Plan, and you had directed us to look at a couple items. The Planning Commission, of course, had recommended this this corridor plan to be approved, and you have had several meetings to discuss this. And in that meeting in July, the one item that was a specific discussion was found on page 3, which dealt with the land use options in the area between 20th and 21st Street. In yellow, what is showing up here, and let me just maybe enlarge that so it's readable. Actually, I'm going the wrong direction. Okay. Is a proposed change in language from the discussion public input that we received back in July. This concept remains the same in that as you come over the bridge and look into the city, you have some good views, and the first impression of what you see of the city becomes very important. And it is under that idea that then we change the language in 3F to talk about the holistic concept of how do you enhance that first appearance as you come into the city. And that is that you give special attention not only to buildings, but to their design, their placement, and the landscaping. And that in reviewing this, those are the details that should take place to make sure that we enhance those views, we create landmark impressions as people come into the city. And so rather than what had been recommended by the Planning Commission in their first go to you about doing this only by height, this revision takes that concept out but looks at the holistic approach of all the design aspects and says these should be the guiding principles as we look at the land uses that take place in this triangle area. So this would be a recommended addition to what the Planning Commission had recommended to you. So that's one item of change. Back in July also, we had talked about another change that you had asked in an earlier meeting to be looked at, and that dealt with the area between the pond, and this is on the next page, where zoning options were given to add commercial options to this piece of private property that is next to the pond. And so that is another change that you'd be considering tonight also, but you had discussed that in the earlier meetings, and so that has not altered from the July meeting. But with those two amendments that are being talked about today, the recommendation is to approve the 21st Street Corridor Plan.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, Chair. Just one clarification, just for if a petitioner comes in with a proposal, this will be looked at as it says in 3F, talking about screen objectionable views of service areas or parking and frame mountain vistas. That will be. It doesn't say specifically, but certainly it would be expected that like rooftop air conditioning and things of that nature would be taken into account when with that sentence. Is that correct? Okay.
Because in the CBD ordinance now, and that's what will be the governing ordinance, those things are talked about, that they're screened from public view and those type of things. So again, that is focusing to make sure attention is paid to those because of the key locations.
That's wonderful. There's been a few times I think we've missed that and just didn't think about it. And so that statement is important, I think.
I'd also like to make a statement that I would like to thank the Planning Commission for the work on this, and our Councilman Heyer, which has spent many hours doing this when he was on there. Greg, does this give us the flexibility that we need for the entrance into our city when projects are brought before us?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it gives the design principles, the concepts that we want to look at, but it allows a lot of flexibility in the presentation when individual projects come in. So, I think those guiding principles are an important part, but you never know how each project will be, and so this helps to balance the two together to make it work.
And I think the key element is that we're preserving the landscape enhancement of the mountains that we have, and we're framing the mountains and the hillside so that's what you see when you come through into the city.
Okay. Further questions? Thank you.
There's no further discussion. I would go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2011-68.
Annette?
We have a motion from Councilmember Gochner and a second from Councilmember Stevens to adopt proposed ordinance 2011-68. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair.
Aye.
Chair Garner.
Aye, this passes. Thank you. And again, we appreciate all the work. This has been going on for quite a while, so thank you. Next on the agenda is reports from administration. Mr. Johnson.
Robert from our CAD department is going to give a brief overview. He has Mr. Farr in the back in case there's a question that needs to be asked.
Chair Garner, Vice Chair Blair, and members of the council, these are the final steps in the process of levying the special assessment for the downtown economic development activities. Just by way of background, on June 26, 2012, the City Council adopted an ordinance creating the special assessment area, and the required Board of Equalization hearings were held on August 8th, 9th, and 10th. 2012. The ordinance will levy the assessment for the area. The area itself has already been approved. Just a summary of the Board of Equalization report. There was one member of the public who came to the Board of Equalization, Miss Judy C. Orton. Her grounds for grievance was that she did not feel that her business was helped by the assessment due to her only using her building as personal storage. We also received a phone call from a Mr. David Ford Doxey. His grounds for grievance was that his parcel was actually zoned residential. The board found that Ms. Orton receives the same benefits that the other members of the assessment area receive, and so her request to be removed from the rolls was denied, and that there was in fact a mistake made with Mr. Doxey, and so his request to be removed from the rolls was accepted. A copy of the Board of Equalization hearing will be sent to Ms. Horton and Ms. Doxey, and the City Council will receive annual reports, as in the past, on Downtown Ogden Inc.'s activities. So the administration recommends that the City Council pass the ordinance accepting the Board of Equalization report and levying the ordinance.
Any questions? Further discussion?
It may be noted that the reason that we reviewed Mrs. Orton's, but we felt like at that time that we needed to treat all property owners the same, and that's why action was taken in that aspect there. So,
okay. Any other comments?
If there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2012-43.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Blair and a second from Councilmember Van Hoosier to adopt ordinance 2012-43. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Stevens.
Aye.
Councilmember Van Hoosier.
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks.
Aye.
Councilmember Gochner.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair.
Aye.
Chair Garner.
Aye. This passes. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. In this form of government, all city personnel are the responsibility of the administration, not of the council. Please discuss any concerns you may have regarding staff with the mayor, chief administrative officer, or department directors.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Dan Duell. I'm a resident here of Ogden. I'm just here to ask you today to persuade you, I guess, to not proceed with the plan or the ordinance considering profanity in city parks that the City Council is currently investigating. I think it is certainly wise to exercise caution whenever it is contemplated to use the heavy hand of government to solve a problem or perceived problem, especially if there are solutions that may be brought through private means or existing law. proponents of this ordinance tout that it is just another tool for law enforcement to use, but I have to say that many a liberty has been lost as touting as just another tool for law enforcement to use. I've heard some of the arguments for this is some of the problems caused at Little League games. I would imagine that there are other ways to work with the Little League organizations, for example, to have them govern themselves and perhaps prohibit unruly parents from participating in these things or something like that. And that's just an idea as another idea, but I think we should first seek out non-governmental solutions for something like this, besides the constitutional questions that arise with this. So with that, that's pretty much all that I have. It's not a well-written comment, but thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Hi, my name's Rob Harris. I'm a property owner in the 21st Street corridor. Apparently, I'm a little late, and you already approved the rezoning. Sorry, I have a business to run, so it's a little hard to get everywhere at once. Last time I was here, I represented Mr. Molding. I'm doing the same. We have properties that are in West Haven and in Ogden City. We have some little pieces in Ogden City. And to split up our zoning is very problematic. And we discussed this last time. I haven't seen a thing until, any word about it until apparently tonight, which I missed. But with our properties, it's vital that we keep them in one zoning for apparent reasons. So, I wish that you would please consider our properties and leave us out of the rezoning, and what you guys do up the street, even though I think it's a huge mistake, do what you do, but that's okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor, City Council. I'm Dan Musgrave, Executive Director of Downtown Ogden, Inc., and we're having a wonderful summer this year. A lot of great attendance, and last Friday we had the block party at the Junction with a lot of attendance and a lot of fun, and just really were able to showcase the Junction. We're having record attendance at the Ogden Farmers Market, which is every Saturday, 8 to 1 o'clock. And invite everybody down for the farmers market. Also, this Saturday is the a cappella stock at the amphitheater, and I want everyone to attend that and enjoy as the summer season continues. But also, we want to thank you for your support and your trust and confidence in us and the programs that are running, and may the great revitalization of downtown Ogden continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any further comments? Comments from administration?
I'll take a quick moment to thank Jay Lauder, who's here. As many of you know, we had the Chamber Golf Tournament for the first time at a municipal golf course again on Monday. Huge attendance, and it absolutely showed. They put a huge effort into that, and it was a fantastic event. Jay, we appreciate you and the work that you and your team are doing to showcase some of our great assets. So I just wanted to publicly thank him and his group for the great work that they did over there. And other than that, I don't have anything else.
Do you want to address Dan's comments on the parks and either one?
Is it okay, Mayor? If we've withdrawn the request of the City Council. We're going to try and address it a different way.
Thank you. And comments from council staff?
And I thank you.
And council members?
Seeing no movement, I'll make a motion.
Just
oh,
one
you
second.
have one.
Dan, I went, or I don't know where Dan Musgrave went, and the other Dan, but I did go down to the junction for the celebration. The band was, there, and people were enjoying the comments. Debbie Williams, who was with Timeless, was probably a little too close to the speakers for the band. She was right next to the speaker and mentioned that it was good music, but pretty loud for her. But it was well attended and a lot of fun people down there, so good job for everybody. It's nice to bring people downtown. And Caitlin.
Chair, the credit really goes to the Standard Examiner. They sponsored it, the event, and they did a great job with it.
Just one quick comment. Ogden City Schools had their opening institute today, and you're going to be seeing children on the street starting Monday morning. So everybody drive careful and look out for those little guys.
Slow down.
And if there are no further comments, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion from Councilmember Gochner and a second from Councilmember Heyer to adjourn. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. As a reminder, there will be a City Council work session immediately following this meeting. The purpose of the work session is to have council mayor discussion and to discuss ramp tax projects and council business. Thank you.